It's the Selling for Life podcast.
If you're buying, we're selling.
Here's your three-headed monster, Steve, Big Al, and Kevin. All right, and welcome to another installment of the Selling for Life podcast, sponsored by Conoco Parts, a world of parts with a personal touch. This podcast is about more than just selling stuff. We think if you stick around, you'll get a lot out of it. And if you're buying, we're selling. And this is episode 62. I'm Steve. We have a great show for you today. Earlier, Al and I had a super conversation with someone who can make a huge difference, not only in your sales career, but in how you approach life in general. You do not want to miss 1 second of this interview. Here we go. Well, you've heard the expression, time is money, when it comes to your business or sales career. It probably seems like there's not enough time in the day to keep up on everything. And with new technology, social media, the ever-changing landscape of the markets, and the increasing edge competitors have, it can be simply overwhelming. So how do you manage it all? We are very grateful to have on the phone right now Mrs. Jill Konrath, and she's here to talk more about staying ahead of the game. Mrs. Konrath has a number of things she's accomplished in her career. She's a speaker, consultant, and author. And I could have put a ton more in here, but we'll just get right to Jill here. So definitely check out her latest book, though, More Sales, Less Time. Mrs. Konrath, thank you very much, or I should say, Jill, thank you very much for joining us on the Selling for Life podcast.
I'm delighted to be here today.
All right. And I want to thank you personally, because I didn't know this until preparing for this interview. Because of you, I still have a job with our company.
And why's that?
Al, explain that to her.
Oh, boy. Well, Steve, though, he is an amazing marketer, video producer, and other things, he started with our company as a sales rep. And never did sales before, right? So we trained him, and I thought we trained him. But boy, he was a thorn in my side until I started getting your regular emails and reading your blogs and stuff. And he has to thank you for his job, because I would have fired him.
Yeah.
But I had him in the wrong seat. It was my fault. We had him in the wrong seat. He's great at sales, but he's the best at marketing.
All right. So on behalf of me and my family, thank you, Jill. Okay.
You're welcome. I'm delighted to have been your foundation for this change you made. Mm-hmm.
Tell us just a little bit about your background.
My background is I started out as a high school teacher. I moved into sales because I wanted to be an entrepreneur and had an idea for a company. I was told that you have to learn how to sell. You can't grow a company, and I thought it was disgusting because I hated sales. But I still took a job at sales. So I worked at Xerox for a year. Well, my first year, I went in there and I said, I'm going to learn everything there is to know about sales in 1 year and get out of this profession. And instead, I fell in love with it and have been in it my entire career and have created an entrepreneurial business around what I love to do in the area of sales.
Cool.
Oh, that's really good. I love how it was a love-hate thing, and then all of a sudden you fell in love with it. That's really cool.
Oh, my goodness. It was the most shocking thing in the world because, people's perception of what sales is really negative, and mine was too at the time. And the reality of it is what I discovered, because I was well-trained at the beginning, because I had a company that understood that it was really about focusing on the customer and understanding their needs, their issues, their concerns, and helping them run their business better.
Oh, that's so funny.
Once I understood that, sales was not hard.
Yeah, and that's actually the very subject that kept Steve's job. So the blog came through. I read through what you were saying. And when Steve got into sales, and he might just attest to this, he had a big struggle with not wanting to take advantage of somebody. And and I'm like, well, this is just the sales process, Steve.
Yes.
We are integral in what we do, genuine, and we do want to serve the customer. Mm-hmm. And so teaching him that perspective and him taking on that as like, this is the ownership of, I am going to take care of the customer. I am going to be outside of that that norm of what we think about sales. And it's really elevated our business. We've gone from when Steve first started, maybe, 7 people to 53 people in, several years.
Wow.
So it's definitely a good growth. And I think when he started, we probably had, I don't know, $1.5 million in sales up to, we might get to 30 million this year. So we've definitely seen it.
That's great.
Now, one of the other bigger problems, another problem that I had, and not just with sales but in life in general, is I was just overwhelmed with the amount of things that I had to do, whether it was prospecting, following up on calls, just trying to manage things before I got to work and after I got to work. And even still today, as with lots of people, I struggle with time, which is our topic today. So a quick question to you to get this ball rolling here: is time really money?
That's a funny thing, because a lot of people think that that's all I was writing about. The time is money. You can take your day and figure out how much you want to earn per year, divide it by the number of hours and work it. But to me, time is bigger than just money. Time is family.
Mm-hmm.
Time is friendships and relationships. Time is a chance to be involved in things that are important to you. Time is health. I mean, I was just talking to somebody from the Integrative Center at Mayo Clinic, which is like one of the biggest medical centers in the world. They're right in my backyard. And they deal with a lot of executives who come in for their annual checkups to see if they're healthy. And 80% of the issues that they're facing are stress-related. They don't have time to have a life, So to me, time is more than just money. Time is really about life, health, relationships.
I love the way you put that.
Fun.
Because if you don't have...
Fun, too.
Yeah. If you don't have that, then what's the point of working hard?
Oh, my God. You can make more per hour, but the reality of it is, what good is it if you don't have your family because they've left you because, you're always at work, or you're coming home and you're self-medicating and drinking and, and doing other things, or just too tired and you just sit in front of the couch and plop down. That's not how we should be living.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Do you have a take on how to work smarter and not harder?
Well, I think a lot of people, when they talk about working smarter, really try to talk about people cramming more things into the day. So if you're really smart, you could get X amount of work done, more than you're currently doing. I believe that's absolutely true. But what I also believe is that the way we're working today, and with the internet and the constant on life that we're dealing with, I truly believe and know for a fact, based on research, that the quality of our thinking deteriorates based on the way we're working. So to me, how can you work smarter if research shows that people who are constantly back and forth, between email and the CRM system and this and that, whatever they're doing, texting, that their IQ actually drops. And for women, it can drop like 5 points, but for guys, and let me just say, guys do not start out with a higher IQ than the women, but their IQ drops 15 points.
Wow.
So people who are not working with, who are not watching how they spend their time and what they're doing during their hours are actually getting dumber. So you need salespeople, or to be smart and strategic and creative, and they're farting away their time, but they're losing their brain. Mm-hmm. They're losing the best part of them, their capacity to connect with other people, the capacity to come up with better solutions for their clients, the capacity to solve issues in a way that will make a difference and keep a client. That to me is every bit as important in terms of working smarter, as opposed to just getting that much more done per day.
It's almost like self-induced ADHD. Your mind is just going too many different directions.
Yeah, my kids get that when they watch SpongeBob.
Yeah. One of your videos that I saw, the number one tip was to slow down, and I like that.
Yeah, isn't that weird? To slow down, you actually do better if you slow down.
I mean, how can we avoid being overwhelmed? I mean, this is a real battle. Almost like the whole industry is moving toward that speed, more, multitask.
Yeah.
You're like going against this whole grain. How do we avoid?
Yeah. Well, let me just say, first of all, neuroscience research supports what I'm saying. If you want your people to do well, you'll take a look at how brains work and what impact the way we're working has on our capacity to do our job the best we can. I mean, for example, the bouncing around online. And we do it because our brains, first of all, are designed to do that. We don't stop and think about it. We think we're, like I like to think I'm sort of a rational person and can plan my day out and, work my thing. But I go onto an email and I get this email and it's an interesting article. So I start reading that article. It's not necessary, but it's interesting. But it's in my inbox and I get that and I read that, and in the article it references another article, and so I'll bounce over to this other article.
Yeah.
Ever done that?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. YouTube at night. Yep.
2 hours later, 2 hours.
TikTok app.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one time, when I was bouncing a little bit, reading things, suddenly I think to myself, and by the way, we start distracting ourselves when we're in a distracted mode. I started thinking, well, what's the weather like this weekend? So when I pick up my cell phone, I'm on my computer. I pick up my cell phone, check out the weather. I look at the weather, and then, how they have these videos on the weather app, and it's, like there's a sinkhole in Florida.
Oh, no.
And so then I'm looking at the video of the sinkhole in Florida, and at the end, this is the worst one of all. They had 12 plastic surgery fails, and they had pictures of a woman before and after plastic surgery, and I went and looked at all 12 of them.
Oh, no.
I do that, too.
And then I looked up and said, oh, my God. How did I get here? I just was checking my emails.
How do we stop that? I know exactly what you're talking about. How do we stop that?
Okay. First of all, there's a lot of things you have to do, because as a human, our brain, the amygdala of our brain is wired to look for something new. So if there's a link to click, it can't resist. That's its job, to stare and watch the environment. If you go onto a YouTube channel and it suggests a next video for you, or you look on the side, there's more, and your amygdala wants to keep looking and checking them out. And you get a dopamine hit, which is dopamine is a feel-good hormone. So you are wired to do this. So the only thing that I found that people can do is to get themselves out of the mire and shut down things that lead them astray.
Right.
And this is the hardest thing in the whole wide world. And I felt when I first started doing it, and everything I'm talking about, I had to wean myself from. I had to go through deprivation. I twitched because I was so addicted to something.
Wow. Yeah.
But shutting off notifications.
Okay.
Big deal. Because you get a notification. It says you've got an email. What do?
I look at it.
Just like that, right? Because it's important. You're running a business. You're in sales, right?
What about?
You have to look at it. Huh?
What about the? Of course, you get the technology, outside technology influences, notifications. What about people?
People, yes. People are bad, too. I've seen offices now that are really tackling that issue, and they're having quiet time.
Yeah.
Leave these people alone. We have quiet time from 9 to 10 o'clock to do the most important things that we're supposed to do today.
Okay.
Oh, I love that. I mean, you're almost holding each other accountable or looking for accountability.
That's right.
And while we're talking, I'm multitasking. I'm actually turning off notifications on my apps right now. Thank you.
All of them. And you may feel deprived because of that, But here's the other thing, too. So you go check that email because you got a notification because you think it might be something important. And you look and it's a newsletter that just came in. So you stopped what you were doing, right? You stopped what you were doing and went over there. Now you got to come back and you're working on a proposal or you're trying to solve a knotty issue. Your brain just left and went on to that stupid email that was really worth nothing. And it only took maybe 20 seconds, to read the email and click on over, then you're back. However, and by the way, 70% of people will go check out a new email within like 6 or 7 seconds. So this is human nature. Oh, God, a new one. But the other thing that happens if you take a look at brain recovery time, you switched your brain over to something else that was irrelevant, so you think no big deal, but you come back and it takes you 10 to 20 times the length of the interruption to get your head back in. Now you've extended your workday every time. And by the way, you probably lose your better thoughts because you interrupted your good thinking, and now you go to more trite solutions that are easy to think about because your brain is not in focus mode.
Okay.
So the whole thing is like, a big issue. So what do we have to do? We have to turn off all notifications so we can't be tempted to look away. We have to shut down email when we're done checking it. Shut it down. You are twice as likely to check email if it's open.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this.
These are just some basic things that people can do. And at first, it's really hard. I mean, I know from checking email, I started out small. Well, I'll only check email every 15 minutes. And see if there's anything urgent that I have to respond to. And, after watching a week at 15 minutes and nothing was urgent, I think I'll stretch it to half an hour. And I'll check email every half an hour. And based on my kind of work, I could actually go 2 to 3 hours. Nothing is that urgent. It's nice to get back to people, but it's not that urgent. And so when you can space it out, you get your brain back, you can actually work on what matters and do the important stuff.
So organization obviously is a big part of this, but what if we're not organized by nature? What about if we're what you might call a closet slug? I heard that from someone somewhere.
I believe that's what I told you I was in my book.
I saw that online as well. What if you are a closet slug?
Wait, let me first say thank you for outing yourself so I can come out of the closet too. Thank you.
Right.
And probably the reason I out myself is because everybody else thinks that they're the only loser in town.
Yep.
They're the only one who's out of control.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that there's many things, and I can't remember what I wrote in that article. I can only give you my perspective today. But again, if I go back to time is money, and I said no, time is more, time is relationships, time is this, time is that. We have to really focus on what matters in our life and start bringing that up at times. So personally, what I found is, a lot of people want to earn more money. I'm fine with my income level. What I wanted to do was spend more time with family and doing fun stuff. So I wanted to make the same amount of sales in just less time. But I actually, because I've been working so hard for so many years, I had to actually stop and think, what exactly do I really want to do? I had lost my fun quotient because I'd been working so hard. And I'd go on vacation, but if I'd say I've got the afternoon free, what did I want to do with it? So I think it's important to say what you want to do and keep in mind what's important to you. And getting organized, you're not doing it just for the sake of getting organized. You can you don't have to be the most organized person, but you say, this is in service of my goal. Getting organized is in service of my goal. And my desktop on my computer gets ugly after a while. And it takes me a long time to find things, and every once in a while I'll go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's gotten so bad. Yeah. And then it's like, Jill, do you realize how much time you're wasting looking for things? So then I'll just stop and clean it up so I can free up more time to get work done faster so I can have a life.
The way you're describing it gets me to think of how you develop a really good, solid, focused business. You got to have some kind of motto and core values, and you're kind of saying that for life. We got to figure out what's our true motivation. So all of our kind of activities and energies are kind of turned towards that, and then we can kind of shed some of the things we don't need or that are really wasting ourselves away.
I really think we can. I think to focus just on time is money focuses on acquisition and buying things, and research shows that buying a whole bunch more things doesn't make us any happier. What does is connection with human beings, people that we care about.
Amen. Yep.
I like it.
100% agree with that. Wow, that was a really good time getting to know you better and certainly hearing what you have to say about time and management. Al?
Yeah, I'm impressed, and I'm so glad that I got to share with Steve, and you get to meet Jill, who saved your job 4 years ago.
And I didn't know that until just recently. So how?
Oh dear, lucky you, huh?
Yes,
we're really blessed by Steve and what he does to our organization. Yeah. But we always have fun with each other.
So how can our listeners, a growing number of them, thankfully, hear more from you about time-saving strategies?
Well, I think if they want to learn more about selling strategies in general, because my background is sales, and I really focus on how to grow revenue in a company, they can look at JillKonrath.com, my website,
Okay, perfect.
And that's probably the best way, or they could follow me on LinkedIn.
Well, again, definitely check out Jill's new book, More Sales, Less Time. And we really thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We'll be talking to you again in the future, I hope. Thank you, Jill. A fantastic conversation with Miss Jill Konrath there. There's a lot to take from that. I think the most important thing that you should take out of that interview is that you just relax, calm down. Don't be so crazy in your life and trying to do everything all at once. Slow down. Just slow down. Well, that brings us to the end of our 60-second Selling for Life podcast. Definitely check out our website at sellingforlife.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So remember, whether you're selling magnetic popsicles or you're trying to convince yourself to slow down, one thing is for sure, you're always selling for life.